Try to see if the ring light is in my glasses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's that time again, the most exciting time of the week. These videos seem to be going down really well recently. It's time to look at the rumour mill. What's good, what's bad, what's in the movement for Celtic within the transfer market. Of course, we've got a long way to go. October the 5th is when it shuts this year, but there are a couple of murmurs that are creeping up around the websites, the tabloids, the news outlets around Europe, that Celtic might be looking at a few players here and there. So today we're going to do as I always do, give my opinions to those, and this one's quite interesting, I'd say. So first player on the list is it's rather interesting to me. This is someone who has crept up a few times over the last few years or seasons that could be a potential replacement for exiting central midfielders, or someone to kind of bring up the level of talent in the middle of the park at Celtic, and that is James McCarthy. Now, James McCarthy may split a lot of opinions, and if you have been on my channel long enough, you will know, and I'm not going to hide it, that I've always been a big fan of James McCarthy. I've always been a big advocate for the signing of him at Celtic. I think that, we're looking at a Premier League experienced player here. He's played for the likes of Everton, now at Crystal Palace, played for Wigan in the Premier League as well. I believe he won the FA Cup with Wigan, and he's an Irish international, and he's grew up a Celtic fan as well. Of course, he is from Glasgow, being an Irish international. He is from Glasgow, so he grew up a Celtic fan. So he's always someone who I've been very, very intrigued to see as a Celtic player, and someone who has always kind of caught my eye in the Premier League as someone that could be a potential Celtic player in the future. And now the opportunity is creeping up once more that we may be looking at bringing him into Celtic. Now, in this current day and age, at this time, I'm maybe not as big a fan of the signing is what I was saying when Brendan Rodgers came in. And I don't know if you remember, we'll take us back a few years here, 2016-17, when Brendan Rodgers came into the club. In the middle of the park, we weren't as strong as what we are now. Well, nowhere near as strong, in fact. Let's just cut to the chase. We had Scott Brown, who was coming off the back of quite a disappointing season and being injured quite a bit. We had Cal McGregor, who was nowhere near the player he is now, and to be honest, probably no one would have ever expected what we got from Cal McGregor. This was coming off the back of a season where he was sporadically in the team. The best centre mid we had from the season before was Stefan Johansson, and well, it wasn't so much that second season under Dyla, but probably was the best centre mid at the club, and we decided to punt him. Brendan Rodgers didn't have him as part of his plans, and he was gone, so we didn't really have as many options. So when Brendan Rodgers came in and we had this Premier League manager at the club, there was talks of James McCarthy, there was talks of Joe Allen even coming into the club, and at the time it was so exciting. I was like, oh my god, we need to bring in these players. But over the past few years, we've seen Cal McGregor develop into one of the greatest centre mids we've had in the past decade at Celtic. We've seen Scott Brown just get better and better as he's went on, and people have tried to write him off. We've had Olivier and Cham come through the door. We had the likes of Stuart Armstrong, who turned out to be a player under Brendan Rodgers as well. We had a really good batch of central midfielders, and now we've got Ryan Christie as well to add into the bargain, who is more of an attacking midfielder but still in the middle of the park. We've got a fantastic amount of players there. So James McCarthy coming in now, to me it doesn't make as much sense as what it would have a couple of years ago. But the thing it says to me is, surely if we do land McCarthy, if McCarthy does come to Celtic, which I wouldn't get our hopes up about, I think it is purely talk, it's purely rumours. I don't think it'll actually happen. I think despite him being a Celtic fan, I think he'll be keen to stay in the Premier League after probably not the best move to Crystal Palace. He went there for, I think it was something like £10 million, and now Roy Hodgson, this was only a summer ago I believe, and now Roy Hodgson wants to move him on. I think he'll be keen to stay in the Premier League and show that he's still a Premier League player, with teams like Newcastle, Aston Villa, Leeds all looking at him. He has got quite a few teams to pick from. Celtic aren't the only ones that are trying to lure him in. But now it doesn't make as much sense to me, and what it says to me is, if we bring him in, that Olivier and Cham will be off. I don't think Celtic would go and sign James McCarthy for any reason right now, considering the depth and the quality we've got in the middle of the park. Ultimately, the middle of the park is our strongest area. Scott Brown, Callum McGregor, I've already said Ryan Christie a bit more attacking, but we've got him. Olivier and Cham, Ismaila Soro, who looks to be coming on a little bit of a game in the friendlies, but we won't get too over about it. These are names that do not need any more competition or replacing in the middle of the park. So if James McCarthy does come into Celtic, I think it will spell the end of days for Cham's time at the club, and that's not necessarily because Celtic think he's done or whatever. It's because Ncham is that good that he could be a Premier League player. I'm sure there are teams interested. Of course, last year there was a lot of talk that Ncham was done at Celtic. He wanted to move on, but then stayed this season, played terrifically, said how happy he was at Celtic, and now he finds himself in a position where he has got competition to get into the team. But he knows down south he could get in anywhere. I think he's that good a player. I mean, maybe not your Manchester Uniteds, your Chelseas, your Liverpools, right? But any mid-table Premier League side would snap up Olivier Ncham in a minute. Probably the same sort of position as James McCarthy. The big difference between the two players, McCarthy's 29 years of age and Ncham is, 24? So you're looking at about a 5-year gap between two players here. Would it be wise to get rid of Ncham to bring in James McCarthy? I'm not so sure, and I think a lot of Celtic fans will be in the fence of no, not a chance. If Ncham was to go without us having McCarthy in, then I think that is a brilliant replacement. I think McCarthy is one of the best replacements we could find. Because, as I said, this guy's a really experienced player. He's played in Scotland before, of course. He knows what the league's about. He's a physical player too. The other disadvantage is probably the injuries with McCarthy. He has racked up a couple of them in the last couple of years. He was out for a long time when he was playing for Everton. I think he was out for something like 9 months at a time. And that'll probably hold him back a little, but coming up here could be a great place for him to, rejuvenate a lot of time that he's missed out, as we've seen with many players coming to Celtic and Rangers, etc. Over the past 10-20 years. So I don't think it's a bad shout. I think he's a phenomenal football player. I think he would, stroll it up here. I hate coming across as bringing our game down, but you're looking at someone who's a very good, experienced player in the Premier League. He's going to come up here and he's going to be fantastic, well, you'd hope. Some people like Joey Barton have shown that's not the case. But McCarthy, I have no doubt he could come to Celtic and do that. I would prioritise keeping Ncham, definitely. For me, I would love to see Ncham stay at the club. But McCarthy would be the suitable replacement for me. The fee they're talking that Crystal Palace are looking for as well, I think is around £8 million, which, if we do sell Ncham, you'd be hoping, if Ncham goes, you'd be hoping we get around 10 million quid for him. That is realistically what I think Celtic should be looking for. This is a player who's performed in Europe in the biggest games, not just against the likes of Hamilton and St Johnstone, blah, blah, blah. This is, we've seen what he done in Rome last year. How many players have the composure and the head and the ability to do that in the last kick of a ball away from home in Europe? Not many. James McCarthy probably couldn't do it either. So in Ncham, we're looking at a top player here. We're looking for at least £10 million in my eyes. So maybe then at that point, yes, it becomes more acceptable to spend £8 million on James McCarthy. And I tell you right now, I'd probably take McCarthy over a lot of the other centre mids we get linked with. I don't think many will agree, but that's the talk. Will he come to Celtic? I don't think he will. I think it is a lot of talk over nothing. I think he'll take a Premier League move. But if Ncham's off, we're looking at the man to replace him, I think. And the second piece of information we're going to talk about in today's Celtic transfer talk is someone we've spoke about in the last couple as well, and that is Ajeti of West Ham United. Of course, the last video we done for this series, we were talking about how the move was probably off. It looked as though Ajeti had called it a day with Celtic, and he was considering Premier League moves to the likes of West Brom. But now, there's apparently news out from Sky that Neil Lennon has actually met with Ajeti's agent, and there is an offer on the table, and he's still considering coming to Celtic. So the move potentially could be back on, and this is one I really want to get over the line. This is one I want done for Celtic. We're looking at Bayo leaving the club. Griffiths didn't even get on the bench at the weekend, so we don't quite know where his season's going to go yet. I think we do need to add another striker in. Ajeti, for me, on a loan option would be the perfect deal. Because you're getting someone who has scored goals. A guy who's played at the highest level. He's played in Champions League, Europa League. He's played in the Swiss Super League, which is a league, once again, probably better quality than the Scottish Premiership. And he's now in the Premier League. You're looking at a very good player. Neil Lennon's apparently met with the agent. Ajeti has taken a few days to consider his options. He's taken a few days off from the hassle, and he's going to think about where he wants to go next. Hopefully he does pick Celtic. I don't know if as many people are as eager as me to see him come to the club, but I think he's the perfect backup option to Odsonne-Edouard. I do like the fact Klimala is hungry. I like the fact that Klimala scored at the weekend. He's been scoring in the friendlies, and he's looking like a player who's improved a lot. He's bulked up. He's looking a lot fitter too. He's still got his fast feet. That's a player who I think is in for good things at Celtic. But I think we need more competition up there right now. And Griffiths, we don't know where his season's going to go. Can we rely on him? That is the main question that's getting posed. And I'd like to believe we can. I'd like to believe that the signs we saw from Griffiths in the friendly against Ross County, or Hibs was it, sorry. No, it was Ross County. The signs we saw there of the improvement and the fitness being worked on, hopefully carries on throughout the season. But we definitely need to add up there. I think we do need options. What if Edward gets injured? Do we trust Kamala quite yet to carry us through a season? Is Griffiths going to be ready to carry us through a season? Ajeti is a guy who's scored 25 goals a season. This is a player we should be looking at bringing in, and hopefully does choose us over the likes of West Brom. I'd like to think that would be an easy decision, but of course money talks, Premier League football talks, and we can't compete with that sometimes. But we'll soon see in a few days' time. The deal seems to be back on the table. It's not quite done yet, even though the other day I was talking about how it was over. So we'll wait and see. Anyway, that does it. The main topic of this video was James McCarthy. Let me know what you think in the comments below. James McCarthy, do you want him at Celtic? Do you think he's the right option? And would you take him over Olivier Ntcham? I have a slight feeling it's going to be an overwhelming no to that question. But think about it. If Ntcham was to go for a fee of say 10 to 15 million pounds, is there many better than James McCarthy to come into Celtic? Don't know. We'll wait and see. If you have enjoyed, make sure that like and subscribe. It is much appreciated. And see you all next time.